All right, kids, so I hope you guys are as excited as I am to make our paper cranes. So I made the first one here. Our tally is actually up to 1. I'm going to be making another crane, so our number is going to be up to 2. So we're only going to have to make 354 cranes instead of 356. So remember, our goal is 356 because Sadako got, 644? She got up to 644 before her death, and then her class made 356 in order for her to be buried with 1,000 cranes, since that was her goal while she was in the hospital. So I always like to try that as an end of the year goal. I've never had such a short time period for us to do that. So if we're not able to do it, that's okay. Maybe we'll extend this over the summer. I'll talk to the principal, see if maybe our Canvas discussion can be throughout the summer, or maybe we'll just stop and make as many cranes as we can. But I'll be busting out a bunch of cranes here at home. I hope once you guys learn how to make cranes, you will as well. But we're going to be going through a tutorial on how to make cranes, and then I'm also going to be posting a PDF, because sometimes kids like strategies that are not my favorite strategies for making cranes. So the PDF document will have a couple different steps, and there's also other better YouTubers that will have steps to make cranes that maybe you prefer, different folding methods. Essentially, it makes the exact same crane, just a little bit different folding methods in order to do that. But I'm going to do a tutorial video because I'm your teacher. I'm going to teach you how to make cranes. Then I'm also going to give you guys access to a paper document that you can kind of refer to, or maybe some other YouTubers who are more entertaining and maybe have different strategies for giving you guys cranes. And before I do that, I want to show you guys my little friend. I don't know if you can see that baby bunny, but we've had this baby bunny at our house ever since the weather started to get nice. So I couldn't have that little guy being all cute eating grass over there without showing him to you. All right, let's make some cranes. All right, guys, so the first step to making a crane is you have to have a square piece of paper. So this piece of paper is just your regular 8.5 by 11. So in order to make it square, you're gonna need to take one of the corners, you're gonna fold it along the edge of the opposite side, and it's gonna make a triangle, a right triangle, which you know from math makes a 90-degree angle. So right here is the 90-degree angle. Paper looks like this, kind of like a little boat. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut off this bottom edge. So cut along the line, try not to cut the paper that's on top. That's just kind of marking the edge where you're gonna cut. And that is the first step, because we have to make origami cranes with a square piece of paper. So you'll see, because of that right angle, that this is a square piece of paper, and we actually have our first fold already created for the crane. All right, everybody, so we have the square piece of paper. Our next step to creating a crane is we need to create a crease that goes from the other corners. So from this corner to this corner, we already have this crease created from when we made our square. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna fold over, corner to corner, touch. Make sure it lines up on the top. Make sure it lines up down here as perfect as possible, so that we have creases going from corner to corner, creating this X. Now it's really important in all of these steps to make a crane that you are lining up your edges and you're really pressing down your folds, because if you don't, then it's gonna mess you up later, because we're gonna be folding this so many times. We have to make it as symmetrical and as clean cut as possible. Okay, the next step on this part, these are the easiest steps to making a crane, that X, and we're gonna make a T. I call this the T step because we just made an X. So we're lining up our edges and folding it into this thin rectangle. So instead of triangles, thin rectangle. And you see it's creating a crease right through the middle of our X. We're gonna do the same on the other edges. So it creates a T. So now, not only do we have that X, with our creases, but now we have a cross going in between. So you should see these 4 squares in the corner with an angle, a crease from corner to corner. Okay, so those are the easiest steps to making cranes. I know you'll get it the first try. Remember, try to make it as clean as possible and line up those edges. All right, so the first hard step. This is a step that some of you guys might mess up on, but don't worry, I'm here, I can help you out. We'll do some Teams meetings if you get stuck on this step. So you can always rewatch this part of the video. This is gonna be a tough segment, okay? So you're gonna put your square piece of paper angled a little bit so it makes a rhombus, okay? So kind of like a diamond, we're gonna be bringing this right corner down to the bottom point, okay? I'm gonna crease this one right here. I'm gonna put my finger right there because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open like a book this side. I call this step the shield. And you're gonna crease right here because it makes this really cool shield design. So when you hold it like this, it should kind of look like a shield. Let's see if I can show you that. Angle it up a bit, okay? Kind of looks like a shield. So that is the first hard step. Some of you might struggle with that, okay? All right, our next step, so once you have this shield, is gonna be, we're gonna be bringing the left part of the shield down, just like we kind of did in the previous step, down here to this bottom part. And I'm gonna crease this edge here, like I did before. I'm gonna put my finger right on that point. Now make sure this is the open side, okay? All right, now I'm gonna put my hand inside what I call the bird's mouth because it looks like a bird's mouth, right? So I'm gonna put my hand on the inside there. I'm gonna line up this corner over here on top of that other corner, and I can feel a fold inside of here that I'm creasing. So it's this fold here that I'm creasing, okay? And it kind of makes this bird mouth shape, all right? And then I'm gonna flatten that into a small square that has the open side facing my belly button. So facing me, okay? The fold side, do not get it like this and start folding because you'll mess up. So make sure the open side is facing you. Now you can see I messed up a little bit, not quite symmetrical. So I'm gonna push that over so that it's on top and kind of redo my folds over here so that it really lines up because that's gonna bite me in the butt later if I leave it kind of cockeyed like it was before, okay? So this is our small square step. Baby mouth, baby bird mouth to making a small square. All right, now that we have this small square, this is another kind of easy step. Remember, this open side needs to be facing you. And then we're gonna just fold this over. I call this my kite step because it kind of looks like a kite. So when we're done. So we're gonna be folding this edge towards the middle. So this is kind of a hard step. I said it was a little bit easy. It's easier than some of the other steps, but sometimes kids fold too far or not far enough. So make sure the edge of this is lined up with that middle crease that you can see, okay? Right in the middle there. And then you're gonna do the same on this other side. You're gonna turn the page like a book, straight over till that tip touches the tip over here. And you're gonna line up the edge, oh, this is tricky. You're gonna line up this edge of this triangle with that line here, that's the crease, so towards the center. So both of these pages should be symmetrical. So they look identical. They make a right triangle with a very pointy tip, but I call it my kite stage because right here you can see this kite shape, right? Do you guys see that? All right, and we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. So we're gonna take that and flip it completely over. It's almost like that kite's not there. And we're gonna do the same with this side. We're gonna be folding that edge over so that that triangle's edge lines up with that crease. And then we're gonna be folding this one over directly to the middle so they meet in the middle. Now, you'll know you're doing this step good if you look at it and you see when I press it down flat that there's not really a thick gap there. Now, sometimes kids will only fold it like this far, and then there'll be like a thick gap between. We don't want that. We want to go right to that edge, right to the middle, right to the middle where that crease was, and then on both sides, you have this kite shape, okay? So this is the kite step. It might be a difficult step if you can't get this fold over but just practice, okay? All right, so this is the hardest step to making a crane. You guys might get bogged down with this step, but don't worry, persevere, keep practicing, join in on the Teams meetings so I can help you see what you're doing wrong. But what we want is the bottom of the kite, so this pointy part towards our belly button. I'm gonna fold this triangle down right in line with the edge, this right angle edge of these triangles, okay? So I'm making that fold so that the triangle stands up. I call this my Death Star step, because if you're a Star Wars fan, it looks like a Death Star. Pew, pew, pew. All right, so this is the hardest step, okay, right here. So after we made that fold because we're going to be folding over that fold this way. So this is another baby bird mouth, but it's way harder. So you're going to you have this square, fold that triangle down, kind of makes that Death Star, right? And then you're going to open it up into this little kind of, I don't know, cool design. It looks like a cool bowl. Well, you're going to take the very top flap. There's a lot of flaps under here. Just going to take the top one, put your hand in, hold the other part down with your hand. You're just going to let it fold over itself. And you're going to talk to the paper. You're going to be like, paper, I want you to fold with me. Be good. I'm your friend. You're not my enemy. Okay? And then hopefully karma will help you out. And you'll be able to not force the fold. Let the paper fold itself into this diamond, skinny diamond shape, okay? Now we're gonna do, or a parallelogram, right? And we're gonna do the same on the other side. We're gonna flip it. You'll see that we have that same triangle over here. We're gonna fold down because we need that crease. Now I'm gonna open it up, take only the top flap, put one hand down here, one hand inside that baby bird mouth. And I'm gonna be talking to the paper. Okay, paper, come on, work with me. This is the hardest step. There we go. Oh my gosh, it totally folded in on its own. All right, and then we get to what I call the fat man walking, because there's a fat man walking and a skinny man walking and making paper cranes. And right now, we have the fat man walking. We know it works because here's his legs, okay? So the same on both sides. It's fat man walking. This is absolutely the hardest step. So if you get bogged down, don't worry. It took me like, I don't know, probably 10 tries to get past this step. Every year it takes kids multiple tries to get through these two folds. Some kids never make it. So I want you guys to join in on the Teams meetings. If you're struggling with this fold, I will help you. Don't worry, it's super common. It's the hardest fold in making these paper cranes. All right, we are past the hardest folds, and now we're going to make some fun ones. So you'll notice that this is fat man walking on both sides. Doesn't matter where you start from, but you'll notice it kind of opens like a book on the side. So we're gonna take that front, or that page to the right. We're gonna turn it over, and we're going to flip it and do the same on the other side. We're gonna take just that front page and flip it. And you'll notice it makes this really cool, I call this like the fox step, because it kind of makes these pointy ears and then like the nose of a fox, okay? So this is our big fox step. Not too hard, you're just like turning the pages of a book. All right, so we have our fox stage. What we're gonna do now is we are going to do folds just like what we did before when we were making the kite. So this is kind of like a skinnier version. So I'm gonna take those front pages and then fold them on the inside and stopping at that midline right there in the middle on both sides. And then we're gonna flip. We see we have a fox on this side. We're gonna be turning that fold over. Remember, we're stopping at the middle so that it goes right along with the middle. We're doing that on both sides. If you've made paper airplanes before, you probably have made a fold very similar to this, okay? And then it makes my skinny fox. So we still have the pointy ears and a pointy nose. It's just a skinnier fox. All right, this is an easy step. It's just like the one we did a couple steps ago. We have a skinny fox on both sides. What we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the page over here. We're gonna flip it, do the same on the other side, so that we have skinny man walking. Remember how I told you we had fat man walking and skinny man walking? Well, now we have skinny man walking. I forgot to mention earlier that during your folds, you're going to be wanting to constantly be pressing down these corners. You know you're a good crane maker if you can create very pointy, ow, ooh, yeah, I'm good. Very pointy folds. Okay, this one's not too good. It's a little bent, but up here you can see it's pretty pointy, and look at how pointy those ones are. And the lines should be nice and crisp, okay? So now we have skinny man walking. If you get to this step, you will make a crane. Nobody that gets to this step messes up after this. It's all easy from here on out. All right, so we have skinny man walking. Next thing we're going to do is we are going to fold these down to expose that triangle. Make sure your folds are symmetrical on each side so that the wings, see how we created wings? They're at the same level. You don't want one level to be higher than the other. So we got this little triangular part, that's gonna be the body of the crane. And then we have these wings that are gonna be the wings. Now we kind of have skinny man walking without a head. So let's turn it into a crane on this next step. All right, so now we're gonna make the head and the tail. So we have the wings, down here is gonna be the head and the tail, okay? Doesn't matter which is which right now. We're just going to kind of turn it to the side and open this part up. Doesn't matter what the wings do, because right now we're making the head and the tail. We're gonna lift this up like this, and then we're gonna fold it back to get our wings. And look at that, we have either a tail or a head. Same thing on the other side. We're gonna open it, put our fingers in, kind of flip that up. Doesn't matter if my wing pops up, it's okay. You just put that back down. And then look, now we got a head and a tail and wings, and it almost looks like a crane. Ooh, okay, now what I like to do is I like to keep my best one is my tail, because the head's gonna be bent anyways. So neither of these are very awesome. I could have done better, but I would say this is a little bit sharper, a little bit better for a tail. So what I'm gonna do is turn this one into a head. Okay, so that's gonna be our next step. Pick your favorite one to be your tail. The other one, if it's a little beat up like mine, it's gonna turn into a head. Second to last step, we're gonna make our head. So this is my tip. I didn't quite like. You can make your head however big you want. I'm gonna make mine kind of medium size. So what you do is you open it up, kind of fold down and in, and then you're gonna kind of poke out. Now, that crane has a funky nose. So you can manipulate that and fix that however you want. You want it to have like a sharp beak. So my fold should have been a little bit better. It's kind of hard to do it on video. There, that's better. All right. Now we're on the last step. The last step is the most fun, in my opinion. It looks like a crane. You might think it's done, but it's not very three-dimensional. So we're on to our last step. All right, guys, we're on our last step. So our last step, you get to see my face, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna blow into this little hole at the bottom of the crane. So you might not see it. I did such a good job folding. You can't really see the hole, but what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull the wings apart. You're going to blow as hard as you can into the crane. And then look, it puffs up his body. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it puffs up his body, making a more three-dimensional crane. Now your crane is done. Once you get to that step, you can tape a string to it, hang it from the ceiling like Sadako did. You can just kind of put it on your desktop, give it to a friend, do whatever you want with it. But good job if you got to this step. You made your first crane. Many more to come.